The enemies to lovers trope. It is my favorite trope because it is so powerful. And I feel like we need to talk about it spiritually. I don't see people talking about it, so I'm going to because I'm actually pretty passionate about it, surprisingly. So the first thing I think of with the thrill and the appeal of this is the exhilaration that comes from associating with something wrong. Okay. And maybe with that, there is some toxicity and some unhealthy dynamics. That concept of mistaking adrenaline from sensing danger for chemistry. That right there is something that I've heard people talk about just in general in psychology and science and things like that. But it's this sense of thrill of like, ooh, I shouldn't be doing this, or ooh, this person's like, and there's this darkness. And I wrote this whole article on my Substack about uniting the light and the dark. If you want to check it out, the link is in the description. But what's in darkness is simply, people fear what they don't understand. Something that is in the dark is something that's hidden and something that is not for the light of day, right? So it's taboo, it's off limits, it's mysterious. It's like, ooh, well, if we don't understand something, then we should be afraid of it. And if we're afraid of something, that means it's dangerous, right? And so alongside that, it's like the way that we liberate this is that power with bringing the unconscious to the conscious. And there's actually a quote that I want to read from a really good book called Existential Kink by Carolyn Elliott. She has a PhD in psych. And it's the Carl Jung quote that I'm sure you've probably heard before. It's, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. And this ensures, like, basically what this is talking about is when you bring something up to the forefront of your awareness, it won't continue to run in the background and potentially create like actual physical circumstances that play out in your life so that that part of you is fulfilled and satisfied. You can be in the driver's seat of your co-creations of your experience by uniting all these aspects of yourself rather than shrouding some of it in like shame, or because it's in the dark, you're like, oh my gosh, it's like you don't even want to try to unravel it. That's another thing I talk about in my Substack post. And basically, these are fantasies that lurk beneath the surface that might have some surprising roots. I have done this for myself, so I'm not just talking out of my butt here. I'm not just pulling this out of the air. Okay. I have found, like, because I was afraid at first, and maybe I might make a separate video of me actually digging into something, like demonstrating how you would kind of do this. But finding the root, finding the themes, pretty much just asking yourself why over and over and over again until you get to the actual core essence of it, of this thing, whatever it is for you. And it's like you will see it and understand it in a different way. It'll continue to maybe be like this rock in your energetic field. You can't, like, people, bypass is a whole other thing, but it's like no part of you is wrong or unholy. So look at it, because again, I can't emphasize enough from my own experience. There was this big thing, there was like this big fantasy that I dug into like 2 years ago. And I was like, oh, this is so weird. Like, I don't know how I feel about this. This is just like kind of weird. But when I actually dug into it, I'm like, wait, no, it's actually like rooted in love. It's actually rooted in creation. This is actually, when you get to the bottom, underneath all of the shame, underneath all of the like shrouds of mystery and the darkness, it's like, wait, this actually, the fear is what made it seem distorted. The shame is what made it seem bad or gross when it actually wasn't. Does that make sense? So I think that the higher perspective of enemies to lovers specifically, kind of like bringing it back here a little bit, is this opportunity for forgiveness and alchemy. I've had a lot of past life experiences that I can remember and recall from meditations that I had. I took notes on some of the visions that I saw. Some of these people I've actually met again in this life. And kind of looking at it from an outside perspective, right? Because I am no longer that identity that had that experience. I am Olivia in this life. And so to look at it as if it's a story, you know, it's a narrative, because I mean, ultimately this is all a narrative, even the current lives that we're living now. But you know what I mean? Outside perspective, that's no longer my life experience type of thing. And I was able to see like, this was an illusion. This was a story. This is something that has disappeared into time and space that actually doesn't exist. Like, we are eternal. That is the only truth. We are eternal and we are one with Source, all of us. We are all Source. And so to be able to forgive your enemy, to love your enemy, whether it's from a different life or this life, in such an extreme way to where like you ultimately want to like unalive each other, and then the next minute you want to F each other. Like, I'm sorry. That is healing. That is like ultimate transformation. I think of ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses, okay, and spoiler, okay, this series has been out for a couple years, but if you have not seen it, please seen it. Oh my gosh, if you haven't read the books, please cover your ears for a couple seconds or leave the video if you want to read it and you don't want a spoiler. Rhysand, the most powerful High Lord, he's my favorite character, obviously. He is the High Lord of the Night Court. He's like uber ultra dark daddy. Everybody knows this. And in the first book, he's like evil. He's like the enemy. But you find out in the second book that actually this was all a front for the other lands and the other courts so that he could protect his family. And he has like this whole secret area of his land where like his people are. And it's like a whole thing. And so basically he's like the most considerate, the most divine masculine. Like, there's like so many scenes in the book that highlight this, so I won't like get into it here in this video. Just know that there's a lot of evidence, and like there's just smaller things that accumulate into like this bigger picture of what I'm describing with him too, alongside the bigger stuff. And so anyway, it's like, think about how this character, taking that concept, like, oh, he's evil, oh, he's bad. People didn't actually understand him. People didn't actually know the truth. And so the ultimate process here, because I'm not a licensed mental health professional, okay? What I can say, if you take nothing else away from this video, take away the fact that it's about finding the truth, whether it's a dynamic or a past life experience that seemed horrific and just kind of weird, or a fantasy of yours that you have. It's this transcending of narratives, the transcending of the illusion, like I said, and like getting away from the he said, she said, he did, she did. Where can you heal? Where can you find remembrance? Where can you find the higher perspective of like, oh, we are all Source. And this thing that happened is no longer the case. And I am holy, I am safe, I'm loved. And also, no part of me is bad. So if this pertains to like a fantasy or something, it's like, put light upon it. Understand it. Find the truth, because it probably will. 99.9% can guarantee it will surprise you. Okay? Because then it can no longer potentially like run in the background, hurt yourself or hurt others, make yourself act in a way that is not in alignment. Because you being afraid of it and you not understanding it is what keeps it in the dark and keeps it in like this stagnant mode where it's going to unconsciously manifest in different ways potentially if it's not and I'm not saying all this to make you scared. I'm sorry. This is like a big world that I'm trying to summarize in like a couple minutes of a video. But it's like it's so interesting what can be created from fear and lower densities and shame when if we simply take the time and we have the bravery to get to the root and the original essence of whatever that thing is, it's like, oh, actually, wait, that's not so bad. I can fulfill that in XYZ ways that are not harmful. Or it's like, oh, well, I understand this person in a new way and I can still have boundaries, but I can forgive them rather than like, maybe having unhealthy coping mechanisms or telling myself a story in my head to make me feel better about myself in the situation. It's like, okay, see it for what it is, forgive all involved, including myself, for how I acted maybe. It can be applied in so many different ways with yourself, parts of you, and also things that have happened with the external, with other people. Because, I mean, ultimately, if you think about it, what did I say? The truth is oneness and we're all source. So it's like, okay, well, ultimately, everything is us, technically. So it's like, okay, how can we see this in a way that is a bird's eye view and in a way that forgives from a place of like understanding and the transcendence of narratives? Because it's all a story. We're constantly telling ourselves stories in positive ways and in negative ways. And so to see what the reality, the capital R reality is, it can help wounds and points of hurt and sorrow be soothed and healed and untangled. It's very powerful stuff. So, oh my goodness, I think that's all I wanted to say. It's so much. So I tried to say that as clearly as possible. Let me know if you want me to make another video about this. I freaking love it. It's ultimate healing. Enemies to lovers is ultimate healing and alchemy, in my opinion. And it's like just really hot, So, okay. Thank you so much for watching. I am planning on making more shadow work videos. So if there's a specific question or a topic in the realm of shadow work that you would love for me to dive into, I have a ton of experience with it. So please leave that down in the comment section. And I'm wishing you a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.